Good morning, everybody. We're going to kick this off. It's 10:31, so I think we've got everybody. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Jeff Devaney, Vice President of Finance, and I'm the MC for today. First off, I'd like to welcome our new members. We actually have 5 new members on campus. Miss Lynn Chase, Apartment 2604. If you're here, please raise your hand. Mr. Mike Craig, Apartment 420. Mr. and Mrs. Joseph and Hannon Miller, Apartment 2004. Mrs. Mary Lou Pellegrino, Apartment 345A. Nobody's coming. Mr. Leon Plantega, Plantega, I'm sorry. And Ellen Ryerson, are they here? Nope. Okay, Apartment 2703. And we have one new Thrive member, Margaret, goes as Peggy McMullen from New Haven. So those are our new community members as of the last meeting. Right now, yeah. Lynn, would you like to say anything? Usually Maria LaSala kicks us off, but she's on her summer sabbatical right now, so we're moving ahead.
And I usually use something that Maria has said to prompt what I say, so this is going to really be dull. Because July 4th is on a Thursday, and would normally be the Residence Council planning meeting, where we kind of set up the agenda for the meeting on the following Monday. The date of the Residence Council open meeting is going to be July 15th, Monday, July 15th. I meant to double check that Monday was the 15th, but at any rate, it's the Monday after the 4th of, it's the 3rd Monday of the month instead of the 2nd Monday of the month. And that's actually the most important thing I have to say. And on with the next speaker. I miss Maria.
Hi, Natalie Murray from Clinical. Can you just call Sean up when you're done? And then do the.
Good morning, everyone. I'm representing our clinical services, and I have 2 announcements. The first one is we're offering a new service, on-site dermatology. Thanks, I'm a little shorter than I thought. On-site dermatology will be starting services here in our community. They will be starting their first visit on July 25th at 9 a.m., and they will potentially be coming every 4th Thursday of the month. And you will get more details on that. We will probably put that on the site so you can see and remember those dates. And then the second announcement I have is very exciting. Our nurse, Natalie Chabot, she's accepted the position of RN designee, which means she will be my assistant, and that's great for Natalie. And then on top of that, there's another award she has won, the Connecticut Assisted Living Association's Employee Service Award. We nominated her for that award, and she has won. So, okay. And next, we'll have Sean coming up to give us his marketing update.
All right, first I want to start by saying every name Jeff read has moved in. So that was 7, Jeff, okay? Usually we don't ask for hands. They don't understand how important this meeting is yet. So from a marketing standpoint, currently there are 15 apartments available for reservation. We have 29% are 1-bedroom, 71% are 2-bedroom, and we have 10 in the north and 5 in the south. The thing that doesn't go on this report is 3 of those apartments have holds on them, which means we're going to hold them for a couple of days. So technically, we're working off of 12 apartments on the campus, which is great. And our releases have slowed down as well. So right now, if you have any friends out there who are saying, I'll get to it, the waiting list is becoming longer and longer. So far, we've had 14 releases this year. There are currently 8 apartments that are reserved. 6 of those are approved, and 2 are going through the process. 5 of them have already 10%ed, so everybody is kind of moving through the process, so it's looking good. We're anticipating another 3 moves here in the second quarter. Right now, all are slated for the north building, but that's because of how the inventory we had. We had heavier inventory in the north building. Then we got more releases, so we have more inventory in the south. So as we move towards the third quarter of the year, you're going to hear me talking about moves in the south and not as many moves in the north because we don't have as many apartments in the north. Currently, we're 94% reserved and occupied. And to date, we have moved in 14 residents. 13 have moved to the north. 1 has moved to the south. And then Thrive at Home, we added a new member, as Jeff said. That's 3 members for the year, and we've up to 96 members in Thrive at Home. And then Meadow Mills, we had more releases over at Meadow Mills. So right now they're running at 47 occupied at Meadow Mills. For the year, we've had 20 releases across the street. So that's 20 apartments that have become available. The vast majority of them, 17, are because the person passed away. But we've had 9 move-ins, which is ahead of what we projected. We didn't project as many releases over there, obviously, as we've had, but we've had 9 move-ins, and we have a couple that are slated to move forward. So with that, any questions that people have? Nothing? All right, then it is my distinct pleasure to bring up, oh wait, no, it's Mark Brown. So Mark, why don't you come on up? There you go. Don't let the crutches fool you.
I figured I would show up today with crutches and I would get a little sympathy from them, but probably not. So good morning, everybody. Bless you. I'm here to talk really quickly about, and give me a second, the Bistro acoustics and give an update on this project. I understand that this project has been kind of an ongoing project, and it has grown some legs to it regarding concerns about whether we're doing the project and moving forward with the project. Let me reassure you, we are moving forward with the project, but let me bring you up to speed as to where we are. Okay. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, all right. So, with that being said, the project was turned over to the construction department the end of last year, beginning of this year. I'm not an acoustical engineer at all. We reached out to an acoustical engineering firm that came out to meet with us to talk about the acoustics in the bistro and what are those things that we can do. Came out, set up some instruments, took some decibel meter readings throughout the bistro. We indicated a couple of areas that are of major concern. One of them is over at the Cook's area and over by the cash register area. There appears to be a lot of noise in that location that ends up bouncing back out into the seating area. So over in the Cook's area, you'll see that there's a lot of hard tile, there's a lot of wood, there's a lot of stainless steel, there's a lot of wall tile. So the acoustics, when you hear a noise, the acoustics tends to hit either the wood objects, the hard surface objects, and then starts to bounce around, and that's what carries it and travels out towards the seating area. So what was recommended is we kind of start there and work our way back. We didn't want to just put something there and see how it works. So what we discussed as a group was we should have really our focus on getting that bistro cook area under control as far as the noise goes, but then provide some belts and suspenders in the seating area, because there are a lot of hard surfaces. There are column covers that are there, the tables that are there, the chairs that are there. There's not a lot of soft material to help absorb some of that. There are acoustical ceiling tiles that are there, but those ceiling tiles are all fire-rated ceiling tiles, so the acoustical value ends up lowering. Because it has to be fire-rated, it has to be some sort of cementitious topping on it, and that just creates another hard surface for the noise. So what we discussed is we have a design that we're working with right now with an acoustical company. We reached out to 2 different organizations. And what they came up with is basically it's kind of the acoustical ceiling tiles that go up, that get hung basically from the cook line heading out towards the seating area. And I refer to it as a sun ray. So what we talked about is putting basically 4 of those sun rays over that cook area from where the countertop is, where the cash register is, all the way over to that I'm going to call it on the right-hand side, that prep line where they have where they have all their coolers and stuff. Put some acoustical ceiling tile hanging from the ceiling there, and then coming out into the seating area and also suspending off of where the drywall is between the acoustical ceiling tile areas, putting in some acoustical panel, much like the panel that you'll see at the back of the CAC. We're going to do that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at what's going on. We're going to take a look at what the decibel readings are, remeasure towards the cook area, remeasure out into the seating area, and then kind of determine where's the noise going. Do we need to add more or less? We need to add more. We'll kind of go into that next step. The next step would be looking at the ceiling tile that is existing there now and what can we change and still meet fire code rating. That's a whole conversation that we need to have with the fire marshal, okay? The next steps. Where we're at right now is we've agreed to a design. Now we're gonna work on some rendering drawings. From there, I'm taking these drawings and going to our dining team and going to our operations team and talking through what it's gonna look like. Based upon that, we get to an agreement, we're all in alignment. We will then move forward with procurement of the material and then the installation. Procurement could take up to 2 to 3 weeks at this point in time. The installation could take up to almost another 2 weeks, all right? I don't have a hard dates on anything yet because we're still in this kind of that design phase. So we're hoping to have some drawings starting next week. The architect that we're working with is off this week, but he said he'll start it next Tuesday and Wednesday and work on them for us. And then within after the 4th of July, I should have something to start talking through with everybody. And then I can talk to the manufacturers about getting going on fabricating all this material. Okay? Any questions? Yes, sir, Mr. Siemens.
Could you give us an update on the status of the North Building parking lot?
North Building parking lot. So right now, the civil engineer is working with the landscape architect. We have our second go-around with drawings on that parking lot. He came back the first go-around. We reviewed it. We realized that this isn't going to work. We needed to add more parking spaces to it. But then there are some other features that we discussed that we need to try to include into there. So we said, let's address the parking spots first, adding additional parking spots, and then start looking at some of these landscaping type of niceties that we want to put in there. We do have a lot that we're looking at with that parking lot. I know you and I talked about creating some sort of catch basin area where we can try to catch all of our discharge, water discharge, and use that as irrigation. That is part of this project right now. It's in there. What we need to do is finish those drawings up, and then we can get some pricing to see where it sits in our budget. So right now, we're on our second version of that, okay? I think Mr. Antonoski's had something first.
Yeah, why not put modern acoustic and fire resistant on the whole room? As you described, the room's going to be kind of crowded, and I wonder if those hanging things won't sort of accumulate dust as well.
Yes, great question. So one of the things that I left out of part of this story is that Kara Ronnie and I just came back from the Builders Conference that we went to, and part of our objective was to go to the Builders Conference and talk a little bit about this. Again, guys, my degree is in civil engineering. I'm a builder. I get all that stuff. This is really way outside of my wheelhouse. That's why I brought in an acoustical engineer to help us and help focus me as to where we need to go. When we went out there, we met with acoustical experts. One of the suggestion was, can we just, basically, you can spray a cementitious type of acoustical all over it, but the problem is the architectural piece to that. It just was not pleasing to the eye. They haven't quite come up and developed that system where you can just come in and lay acoustical spray everywhere that would help. It works really well when you have places like this where it's above. So above this ceiling here, we have fire rating and acoustical sound absorbing material along with the acoustical panels that we have. In that bistro, we just don't have enough room in there to be able to do that. Not only that, there's a lot of infrastructure. If we were to try to do that, that would have to get moved around in order to really achieve what we're looking for. So that's why they felt the best way is by adding acoustical panel that would hang from the ceiling, but not hang down below the ceiling where it's interrupting your line of vision. All right, so that's why we looked at hanging these acoustical panels on there. It might be hard for some of you to kind of understand. That's why I've asked for some drawings to take a look at. All right, and I'm happy to share them. I know there's a group of folks here that are really kind of wanting to be part of it, and I have no problems with talking through these little details. One second, Dr. Braverman, Mrs. Greenbaum had a comment.
We did have at one time a problem behind the painted wall of the art drawing. A noise, yeah, before, well, I'm going back, my marks. And there was some motor that was behind that. You've got a vent there, and then behind that, sometimes I think that there is a vibration still coming from there that is maybe creating some noise. And I'm just wondering if you are considering checking that as well.
Well, that's interesting because I will be honest with you, this is the first I'm hearing of that situation. I heard that there was some noise along that same wall that you were talking about that we did look at, and we found out there was actually a piece of equipment that was running that was causing some of that. But I know where you're talking about because there is a vent, there's an outside vent there that brings outside air in. Yeah. So perhaps, and I got to be honest with you, I don't always go over to that side because I kind of sit in the middle when you see me down there listening in as to what's going on and seeing what I can hear. Yeah. So, but I'll take a look at that. Okay, thank you. Dr. Braverman, I believe, had the next.
So I just wanted to add one thing to this. I like all this design, et cetera, but there's a human element here that needs to be controlled.
Sure.
And that will reduce a lot of the problem. One is this dumping of ice cubes into these machines at night, precisely at 6:45 every night. That, you know, that could be done after we leave.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that as the night goes on, toward the end of the evening in the bistro, you know, the folks behind the counter are relaxing, their voices are increasing, and that's where a lot of noise is coming from.
Yeah.
So there's the source of noise that can be modified. Yeah. So we need all those other things, obviously.
Yes.
But we also need to get some control over the source of the noise.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I always say here, my job is to add engineering controls to help enhance the living of this community. But there is a human element that really needs to be considered. And that requires communication, that requires a little bit of collaboration. That's why I say, we get the drawings, I need to collaborate with the dining team and talk about that and talk about what this looks like. I thank you and I applaud you for bringing this up so that it can be heard and we can make sure that we put this on the forefront of what we're doing. Yes, good morning.
In the center stage and in the pub, the flooring is carpeting. And that absorbs noise.
Correct.
So I wondered whether any consideration is being given to put carpeting in the bistro. And analogous in a way to that, there are these beams that are vertical beams throughout the space. And they too bounce sound off. Whether they could be wrapped with carpeting or whatever. Are those being considered?
So the flooring, I'll be honest with you, I didn't consider that. And the reason why I didn't is talking with the sound engineer, and what he was focusing us on was all these hard surfaces that are in basically your line of vision where your hearing is. He says you need to get this area settled first. It was a great diagram he drew, and I wish I had brought it out, but basically he was showing how a sound wave kind of travels throughout. And that sound wave really is in between where your ears are and your eyes are. So he said, if you can control those areas there, the lower areas down here, you won't hear. It becomes less. And I also didn't consider it because we just did a bunch of work on the flooring over there. But it's not to say that it can't be discussed. But they really feel that the way to go about this is let's handle this step first and going in this direction here. Again, I'm not a sound engineer. I don't know. I'm going by as to what this gentleman is providing information to us. He actually helped me with this project here in making sure that we had good acoustics in here. But we can talk about that in the future. The columns, that is another topic of discussion. I actually walked through with Ken on that 2 weeks ago. Ken, I think we talked about it. There's going to be some work done to the columns on there. They do have a finish material that you can put on there that has some acoustical value. So instead of us just going and doing our normal coating of them and repainting them, we're going to look at perhaps applying this type of material on there. Yes?
When the acoustic engineer was here, did you visit at all the pub area, living room area? And the reason I raised that question is there was a meeting just a couple of weeks ago where I say there was a very large group of residents attending a meeting, and the acoustics was amazingly good. I was saying, what secrets have they done here right that we could use elsewhere in the public areas?
Yeah.
So I bring that up. Should the acoustic engineer ever return, I would ask you that you look at that area and see what of all the wonderful things we've done right.
Yeah, so to answer that question is yes. He did come out the first time and we walked through all the different venues and we talked about them. He asked the same question, what's different here than it is over there? The difference over in the pub and center stage, our dining room, is, as I talked about before, with the fireproofing and the acoustical spray that's above the ceilings. Okay, so when you're in that living room, when you're in the pub area, directly above you are residents' homes. So when we were under the original construction of this project here and we were doing the renovations, we treated that the same and made sure that we had good acoustics over there by spraying that, which was great because there's a lot of infrastructure at that time was getting relocated. When we did the bistro area, there was infrastructure that was there that to move it, the cost of it was just outrageous. So we did the design team did what they felt was the best thing to do with putting acoustical ceiling tile in, and then also trying to keep that feel of the bistro and not have everything like our CAC. So when he came in, he said he really recommended that we just focus on our cultural arts center, that these other areas are in good shape. All right, any other questions? Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Dr. Braverman is correct about the bistro and the dumping of the ice cubes. That could have been taken care of a long time ago. And they just crash the stuff in and that's it. So that all you have to do is talk to the people who do that.
Yeah.
And that should have been actually done a long time ago.
Yes, yes, agreed. And we can address that. We're going to talk about those things. Dr. Davis, you have something for us, sir? No? Okay, just holding onto the mic. All right, very good. Is there anybody else? Okay, all right. Well, if there's any further questions, please feel free to email myself. I'm going to ask you to please include Kara Rani in on your emails. She's much better at getting back to emails. What are you doing? Who's laughing at me? It's just because a lot of times I'm in the field or I'm focused on projects like this, and I don't always sit at my desk and try to respond to these emails. But Kara monitors them all the time, and she comes after me when we need to make sure that we get back to people. Okay? All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm supposed to hold on a second. I'm going to invite Lynn from Dining Team to come on up next. Thanks, guys.
Good morning, everyone. Now you know I'm starting with a joke. So this morning's joke is, what is a computer's favorite snack? Microchips and cookies, but just a few bites. That was for you, Raph. Okay, so I just have a couple things to talk about. First off, I want to talk about 4th of July. We're having a buffet in the bistro. Flyers went out. It's 11:30 to 1:30. It's been put on K4 and posted in all the appropriate areas. We will be having beer and wine and rum punch and all the goodies. No reservations are required. Center stage will be closed that evening because we'll be doing our normal Sunday schedule when we have a buffet going on. Next up, I want to talk about dining services feedback forms. I just want to say thank you, because we've been receiving a lot more forms. You guys really been really good about filling them out and submitting them. What we did was we changed it up a little bit, and they're available in all the venues now. So they're on the tables, they're in the pub, pencils are provided, so we keep encouraging you to please keep filling them out. We're gathering them all up. Like I said, we've got quite a few in the last couple weeks. So we will be gathering them up and talking about it in the dining committee next month. So please keep filling those out. The other news we have is the dish room floor is complete. And we are back, yes. So we are back to utilizing our regular dishware, cutlery, drinkware. So thank you very much for your continued patience. And we started that last night. So, yes, thank you. And I have nothing else to report if anybody has any questions. All right, well, thank you very much. And next up, I believe we have Melissa.
Good morning, everyone. All right. After listening to everyone's concerns from the residents' meeting with the resident task force and regarding transportation, I have a couple updates that we want to move forward with. Question 1, why can't we call the drivers when we're ready for pickup? Well, starting Monday, July 1st, residents will be able to call the drivers for pickups. Okay? Second question, residents would like a later pickup from appointments. Starting Monday, July 1st, the last pickup for any appointment will be 4:30. Yep. Yes, dear, every single day. Just to let everybody know, we'll continue to hear residents' concerns regarding transportation and we'll continue to brainstorm possible solutions. That's all I got. Any questions? I'm gonna bring up and call, oh,
On the new car that we have, I think I talked to you about
Yep.
it, but I do want to emphasize it, that we have a logo on the vehicle so that when we're coming for pickup,
Yep.
and especially at hospitals where they need to stand and wait, that we can recognize our vehicle, because there are so many black cars everywhere, and it's hard to know.
You're always one
Which is
step
ours.
ahead of me, aren't you? It's on my list. It is. I just gotta look into it, okay? All right. You got a question?
Yes. Who is speaking of Celeste shift?
1 second.
Who is which driver is going to pick up that? Oh, Joy.
Her question, all right. Her question is who's picking up last shift? It will be Marvin and Yvonne.
But Yvonne is going to be gone for a month.
Yep. And it will be the rest of us on the team. We have it all worked out. Don't worry. That's not for you to worry about. So the last pickup, 4:30. All right, next to the podium is Maria Freda.
Hello, everyone. So good to see you, and welcoming vibrations to all of the new residents who are not here. Hopefully they'll feel them. I have a couple of things to go over. The summer's already gotten off to a wonderful start. June was very busy, but because June is not quite over yet, tomorrow night, Friday, June 28th, Steve Gurney, with his production managers Susan Danforth and Patricia Gurney, will present Cabaret 7 at 7:30 here in the CAC. It is something you do not want to miss. All of our new residents who are not here, please we have to make sure that they know about this. It will be on K4. We have some flyers also promoting it. So we look forward to seeing you here. Reservations are not required. There's no unique seating plan. It's audience seating just as it is right here, as you see it now. And this Sunday, the summer concert series will feature Judy and Mark Handler, a dynamic duo offering a diverse range of music and encouraging, I emphasize that, audience participation. So it should be a lively and engaging event for all the music lovers. So as we move on to July gets off to a really great start, especially with our summer series, the concert series. It's quite eclectic. On June 7th, we have a band coming in from New York, the Ginger Snap Band. They sound absolutely wonderful. And another band who reached out to us. Word is out about coming to Whitney Center is the place to be. July 14th, Jeff Fuller is coming with his jazz trio. He's always so entertaining, and he's such a well-known local performer that many people, we're really happy to have him. July 21st, get your dancing shoes on because the Kenneth Joseph and St. Luke Steel Band will be back. So we know how they fill up a room. So hopefully we'll be doing something in here and then ending up outside with some sort of a parade. Once again, the whole band, especially Lawrence Downs, who is our security guard who performs with them, is always so excited to hear that they're coming back. And then on July 28th, Jeff Fuller and Symboleza will be here too, and that's all about moving to a Latin beat. So we definitely have music covered. And then just a quick overview on July 1st. A very warm thanks to Jonathan Freelander, who will be starting off the July series. That's in the title of his event is called, it's a conversation with Jonathan, actually. 10 years ago, I thought stage 4 melanoma would kill me. Here's why it didn't. So I'm sure that's going to be a very moving and interesting conversation. For all of you who can't wait, July 2nd, bingo will be back from 3:30 to 4:30 here in the CAC. And July 8th is a really special event because we're going to have a book signing by Harold Coe. Many of you are familiar with him for his work at Yale, his work now currently working as the lawyer for Ukraine and many other prestigious positions. But he'll be speaking here as a book signing to talk about his new book, The National Security Constitution in the 21st Century. I've been promoting this event quite a bit because it is a book signing, but to take advantage of the 30% discount, if you like, and you haven't already received one, I have a QR code where if you'd like to purchase the book before July 8th, maybe get a heads up, help to facilitate the conversation, the kind of the talk back with Harold, I advise that you get it. But I'll probably have about 35 books here that you can purchase, and of course, Harold will sign all of them. So I'm really looking forward to that. July 11th is round 2 of our trip to the Peabody. Those who went on June 20th absolutely loved it. I'll say it was a wonderful trip. And also you will be getting a small introduction by Andrew Coe, no relation to Dr. Coe, who is a renowned archaeologist and who has made some very interesting discoveries that are featured as part of the Mesopotamia collection. So he was a really great treat to meet him. On July 15th, taking us to the far corners of the world, Baxter Walsh will be presenting Ernest Shackleton, A Venture to Antarctica. We're looking forward to that, especially in the summer. It's going to feel nice and cool. And then July 16th, we have Degas' Passion for Perfection, another one of the films, documentaries from exhibition on screen. July 22nd is going to be extra special too. Gracie Smith is going to be presenting Shakespeare's Richard III, a fast-paced melodrama of dangerous, power-hungry, hypocritical villain. And that's wonderful because that is kind of a kickoff getting us ready for the Elm Shakespeare's production of Richard III in Edgerton Park. Just as a highlight in August, we're going to have 2 nights now celebrating Whitney Center. On August 28th will be Whitney Center Night for Whitney Center residents to attend the show. But for our first, we're also going to have on August 29th is going to be our Thrive at Home Night, inviting all Thrive at Home residents to attend. So that also involves somebody going up on stage or a couple of people on stage to introduce the show. So we're really very excited about that and looking forward to it. And as always, Elm Shakespeare is very gracious and appreciative of us being their lead sponsor. And then on July 29th, Anne Schulman will be closing out the speaker series with a presentation called Poetic Inspiration, Inviting Your Muse. So once again, the talent that's here is absolutely wonderful, and we're so grateful for that. I have a 6-4 project update, which I'm also very happy to share with you. I'm thrilled to announce that with the enthusiastic help and support of community members, the creative spaces on the 6th floor have been expanded. There are now 2 spaces for creating where drawing, watercolor, and painting classes will take place. In addition to these classes led by Nancy Leisowitz and Floyd Kaplan, weavers, printmakers, sculptors, and other crafting workshops will also be held in these spaces if all goes well as planned. This expansion is a testament to the creativity and dedication of our community. So this is just the beginning. In fact, the first drawing class was held this past Tuesday with Nancy, which was the only studio space we had up there. We reconfigured tables, brought in new chairs. In fact, we're going to have stand-up easels coming in and some stools. And Nancy is more than happy to invite as many artists who want to come and hear and learn her drawing classes. So there's plenty of room for you. In fact, we just installed this morning her portraits of residents and staff members. It's in the corridor of the bistro walkway just opposite the corner store. So if anybody wants to be inspired by her work and the work she does, and also guess who those people are, I invite you to go see it. One other thing, and then also on July 17th, Mr. Kaplan will be leading with Joanne Chow the watercolor classes. And there's wonderful room for that. I know he's had interest. That's one of the reasons why we moved to the bigger space, because Mr. Kaplan was saying how popular the class has become. And so he wants to be able to welcome more people to these classes. I should note that there is interest that the kitchen may be considered to be available as a working space for resident entertaining, which is also meaning having, I know I heard some people say, oh, it's a little imposing having people come to our apartments where people don't feel comfortable. So maybe having a space where you can kind of set up a small buffet and then use those lovely patios that are up on the 6th floor. And I think one of the best parts about all of this that's happening, it's finally bringing people up to the 6th floor, which has been the intention of the plan that Mike and I and other members of the community have looked at. And we've been in touch with Amenta Emma, so we're using all of this experience, and we'll be setting up those small discussion groups again, just so that you could feel and see what it's like to spend time up there more socially, not just for a meeting. I know seeing the movies is wonderful, but again, that's a different way of using space. So we're really looking forward to that, as I said, that happening. And I also want to thank Nancy as well, going back to this, as an engagement ambassador. I think you've seen signs for that up about being able, even just going over to the health center and helping someone in a wheelchair to come to our concerts on Sunday. But she's putting it to a whole other level because she's sharing her talents and time with your fellow residents, your neighbors, who are over at Meadow Mills. She's giving art classes there, which is really, really wonderful. And also going forward, but whether it's watercolor that's done in Mr. Kaplan's class or Nancy's classes, or even the art that's being created over at Meadow Mills, we hope to have an open house up on the 6th floor so you can see just what some of that work is. And I also can't wait to have some printmakers come up and weavers as well. So the resident-initiated, led, and supported programs are of such value that there's nothing better than paying it back and paying it forward. And I think it's these residents that are doing it. And so many others that I have not mentioned that right now, only because I'm working so closely, but I know how all of you who volunteer your time as chairs of the communities, it really makes a difference, whether it's any kind of task force, you're engaging with the community, and that is key, and that's the reason why we exist. But with that said, I think it was just about a year ago, I took a significant risk and brought bingo back to Whitney Center. The mere idea brought shivers to some, and you know who you are, and comments like, we don't do bingo at Whitney Center. But boy, have times changed. They have so changed, and Whitney Center can't get enough of it. And yes, there have been bingo droughts to those who have been dying to get back to the boards. But as I mentioned, it will be, I haven't already mentioned, it will be back on July 2nd and August 7th. And I hear that a few residents are concerned that some residents look forward to playing, and it's not often enough. So I'm asking help from residents and engagement ambassadors to come forward to call the numbers. It's just calling the numbers, but it's more than just that. It has a wonderful social value to it and a lot of fun. And so, like others who I've mentioned and alluded to, who give their time to help support their community partners, please let me know how you would like to be one too, because sometimes it's not just about being entertained, it's about being engaged as well. So thank you. Does anyone have any questions? The Steel Band is, let's see, hold on one second, July 21st. Anybody else? Okay, well, thank you. And my next person who's going to follow me is the illustrious Ken Sandberg. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. That's we're really engaging the community, so with all that work. So thank you, and thank you to everybody else that gave a report today. A lot of good stuff going on in the community. So I know last month Dan was not on the agenda, and people were asking for Dan. Dan was supposed to be on the agenda this month, but he's actually at a conference, a Leadership Academy program right now, so he's unable to attend. So I've got a quick update from Dan, and I got a few other updates as well for the community. So this is, I'm putting my Dan hat on right now. Parking in our community. There's been some issues with parking on the campus, especially around the North Circle. Dan will be addressing these issues with both our employees and our residents. These spaces in the North Circle are really intended for visitors. and our health center visitors in particular, but also visitors in the north building. And we're finding actually both our staff and our residents are parking there. So we're going to be addressing that appropriately, and Dan will be following up on this. But for any of those who do park there, whether you're a team member listening in or a resident, please leave those for our visitors. That's very, very important, because what we're finding is when visitors are coming, they're parking in the fire lane. So there's some congestion going on there. So that's Dan's update. And I have a few updates myself. So last month, Stephen White, okay. Oh, Herb, I can just repeat the question. Well, actually, hold on. Deb's coming. Hold on, Herb.
Oh, okay. Are you also considering adding additional accessible parking, meaning there's only one single accessible or our handicap spot for the North Circle? Because one is just not adequate. So I'm asking Dan, please consider adding, and not just one more, but maybe 2 or 3 more.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'll work with Mark on that too. Mark's the one that actually looks at all our parking as well. So we'll look into that, Herb. Thank you. So last month, Stephen White is the town engineer, and he came in and gave a presentation on some thoughts on traffic calming along Leda Hill Drive. And I met up with him. I saw him the other day, actually, at a program, and he resubmitted his plans to the fire department. So the fire department is evaluating the plans that he submitted, and once those are completed by the fire department, I asked him to come back and present it to us, let us know what the situation is and when we're going to begin. So I will stay on top of that, and I do have direct communication with the town engineer on that. The other item going on in our community has to do with the property behind us. Most people are aware it's 102 acres. It's owned by Olin, the company, and both the town and the state are looking to take that over and redevelop it. There's some contamination there. There's an organization called the Six Lakes Coalition that's really driving a lot of this. Whitney Center is part of this coalition, and I don't see Joe Blumberg here. But Joe is actually representing Whitney Center on that coalition. They meet every other week, and Joe certainly keeps me posted and informed of what's going on. In fact, last night, they brought some of the officials in to do a walk around. Joe was there with his wife, Betty Lou. The mayor was here as well. The next step is they're going to be doing some visioning sessions. They hired a consultant. And so they set up 3 locations, one which was not Whitney Center, which was like, wait a minute, why not Whitney Center? Carol Gelstead actually emailed me that. So I questioned that last night. I said, we have many residents that have strong opinions, and it would be really nice if they could hold a visioning session here at Whitney Center. So they will be doing that. So we're going to be holding a visioning session here. I don't have the date yet. We'll work on that. I'll work on that with Joe. So that's another update. And my last update is really, it follows in with some of the hearing challenges in our community. It's been Mark talked about it, and Dr. Braverman, you brought that up. And it's really a multi-pronged approach, right? There's not one thing that's going to solve this. And just as a reminder, Janice Howard will be presenting effective strategies to enhance your hearing experience in the public spaces. She's going to be here next Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, 1 o'clock in the CAC. Topics to be covered: understanding the challenges of hearing in noisy environments, practical tips for improving conversation hearing, latest technology and hearing aids, and an interactive Q&A session. In addition, administration, specifically Raf, myself, and we'll include Peggy, will be meeting with the resident council leadership and the co-chairs of the Communication and Technology Committee to further dialogue through the residents' hearing challenges in this community. So it is a multi-pronged approach. We're starting with a few strategies now, but we do need to look at a longer-term strategies. We understand that. And I think the timing is actually is appropriate. As Maria said, Maria and Mike are working with the resident groups to take a look at our space, and part of that will be evaluating the hearing within these spaces. So the timing's right. So that's good. And that is all I have for my updates. So, yes, Baxter.
I am Baxter Walsh, and I'm fairly new here. And I just learned, well, I've experienced in the last 6 or 7 months many alarms that have been going off. And many alarms have been going off throughout the campus. And these alerts are about something, but the question remains, what are they about? The noise continues when the alarm starts for a long time, sometimes as many as 10 minutes. And when I asked other residents, nobody seemed to be worried about them. Actually, they are being ignored. And that surprises me big time. After some of the alarms are recorded, there are some announcements, but it's an automated all clear, all clear. What actually happened, though? And it might have been a false alarm or a fire or an accident or a break-in or something terrible like an active shooter. During the alarm time, we don't know anything that's going on. It makes me uneasy not to know, and I think it probably makes others too. And so I discussed this with Dan Zullo. We had a couple of meetings, and he insists the alarm system is robust. It reflects the advice of healthcare agencies, fire departments, and the police. And he also says that the Whitney Center staff is trained to handle emergencies. Well, that's very comforting, and we are happy about that. But we are all residents. We're left to wonder what actually happened. So my question is, shouldn't a policy be established in which a real person announces within minutes after the alarm sounds whether the alarm has been set off by an accident or is it one that requires residents to take action?
Thank you, Baxter, for your question. I appreciate that. I will answer that the best I can now. We'll certainly follow up. And Mark Brown's here as well, and Mark has a slew of experience in this. So just to take a step back, the alarm goes off, is set off by the fire. It's a fire alarm. So when you hear it, it's set off by a fire alarm. And there's multiple things that might set that off, and Mark can verse you in that. But I will tell you, every year we've had the fire department come in and talk about the buildings, the safety within these buildings, and what to do. And we're going to do that again. And in fact, in October, we have a safety council, it's administration meeting with the resident leadership, and we're going to be having a safety fair this fall to talk about items like this. But in the fire department will come in and they educate us and they educate the resident population on the building, how it was built. So we are what we call a stay in place. So when you hear the fire alarm, everybody stay in place. And the reason why is this community is very well protected, and so it's isolated. So the only way you don't stay in place is if the fire's in your apartment, then you need to leave. Or if the fire's next to you. Otherwise, you stay put. And a lot of times the residents aren't concerned is because they do hear it, and then there's the all clear. Very few, maybe once or twice a month, there might be a smoke in the apartment that causes the fire alarm to go off. There might be some dust that causes the fire alarm to go off. So there are reasons why it goes off. But we do need, and you bring up a good point, and we've talked about this, is some drills with our residents when the fire alarm goes off. And that's something that Dan and Mark, we're going to be working on in this community to do some fire drills. So that will be beneficial. In terms of just the timing of things, when the fire alarm goes off, everybody wants, what's going on, what's going on? The thing is, it can go, any time it can go off. Our guidance to you is just stay put. And if you need to be evacuated, the fire department will be here and evacuate. The taking the time to say, oh, a minute later, we got to tell the resident what's going on is not a top priority. It just isn't. The top priority is dealing with the issue at hand. The alarm continues to go off until sometimes because the fire department needs to get here and to evaluate and then turn it off. In the past, we have silenced it, and Mark, you might be able to address that a little bit more, but the fire department does not want us to silence it. So that's a direction from the fire department, and we can certainly ask them that question again, but we've dealt with that with the fire department. So we will have the fire department in here for an interactive Q&A. We will be planning some drills, which would be beneficial. And so I think, did I answer most of your questions? Or?
My question really was, why doesn't the resident body, why aren't they told what's going on?
Yeah, I thought I addressed that. We're not going to immediately, we're not going to jump in what's going on. We're evaluating that. And once we evaluate it and we realize it's all set, we sent the all clear. Now, what you're asking for is specifics. Oh, was it a false alarm? Was it fire in the apartment? We can evaluate that. It won't be immediate because we just need to set that system up, but we can evaluate that. So we will evaluate that. The alarm is only for fire. Yeah, yeah. But we'll evaluate that feedback. So I hear you. I'm not going to commit one way or the other right now, but we'll talk with the team about that. Okay?
May I ask a question?
Yes.
What do you do if, as happened to me last week, you come back, the alarms, you come back into the building, but the alarms are going off and the doors are all locked? The doors are all closed on the floors. What are you supposed to do?
So the alarm goes off and the door is closed?
I'm coming into the building from away.
Yeah.
The alarm is going off and the doors on the floors are all closed. I mean, you can push them open,
Right.
but they're closed.
Yeah.
What am
So-
I supposed to do?
Yeah, so what happened, well, just to explain to everybody, the question is, when Ina came back into the building, the doors were closed going into her apartment. We have fire doors, and they were closed. So a couple things. One is those fire doors are always open unless the fire alarm goes off and it's a magnet and it releases. And that's one of the safeties behind our community is you consolidate, you consolidate where the fire may be, so everything closes. There's multiple fire doors within the north building. And what we do is once everything's cleared, then staff will go around and open those doors. And so that's what happens. Once it's reset, the magnet comes on. If you need help, then, certainly look, there's clinical staff and building security on site to help you, CNAs, anybody will help you. If you really need help, just after everything is cleared and you can't open the door, I press your buzzer. Someone will show up and help you, if that's the case, if you really need help. If you're stuck and you can't open the door, you want to call, actually. What you really want to do is call the security line. So we'll get information out. I think that's a good question.
Okay. I mean, I was able to push open the door
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah. You're coming in. I got you. Okay, that's a good question because you're right. It's a stay in place. So if the alarm's going off, you don't want to come in and go to your apartment. So you stay in place, so you don't go if the alarm's still going off. But what happens is once the alarm stops and everything's all clear, then it takes some time for us to open the doors. If you can't open the door, then you need to call the security. And we have the security number. That's what you should call. Do not press your purse, but call the security number. Okay? To answer your question?
Ken, upon occasion, the alarm has gone off in our apartments, and it's so loud, if we stay there, we'll all be seeing Janice Howard. I don't know, it's terrifically loud. What happens then?
So the only time I'm aware of when the alarm goes off inside the apartment is if there's a smoke in your apartment. That's the only time it happened. I think once last year there was an issue, and I know that was addressed. Mark was here. We addressed it. It has not. My understanding, it has not happened since that. And the only time your alarm will go off in your apartment is if there's a smoke in your apartment. So has that happened recently? If there is the date?
No, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
You most likely write it.
Yeah, Mark did extensive research behind that, and we made there were some fixes that had to be done. It has not happened since. So if it's in your apartment, there's something going on in your apartment.
Okay,
And
got it.
get out.
I will.
Yes, Mrs. Greenbaum, just hold on, wait for a mic, please. There you go.
All right, this is not about the fire, but it is about the approaching and coming in and the tearing of cars down our street. I was at the top of the driveway leading in to the south building the other day. And a car turned into our parking lot so fast that if I had been even 3 feet into the driveway rather than waiting to cross, I don't think I could have gotten out of the way in time. Now, I don't know how people, I mentioned this before, feel about speed bumps in certain parts of ours. The kind of humorous touch to this was Paulette saying to me, I don't want you to wave to these cars to slow down because you can't trust drivers today. So I have to promise her that I won't give the old slow down sign. And I think that I have been on, I'm trying to think of the street in New Haven, right where the park is on, and the residential street, and they have speed bumps. And none of us like them.
Yeah.
But I am telling you that our cars are speeding on our...
On our property, yeah.
Yeah, and
So-
I think that really should be
Yeah.
discussed. They turn the corner and zip, they just go.
Yeah. So I think there's a couple of things there. One, we can certainly, we've put speed bumps in our property. We can certainly evaluate other locations, and Mark's here, he's listening in on this, and he's the one that helps us evaluate where you put a speed bump and distance. But I think the other thing, Mrs. Greenbaum, and this goes to anybody else, if you see somebody going really fast on our property, we don't want you to address that person per se, but do us a favor. Let the receptionist know the time and whatever, because then we have some cameras and we can take a look. And that's probably the best thing for all of you. If you're seeing something on our campus, we don't want you to approach anybody. But please, if we have the day and the time and the location, we can take a look and then we can address that.
I have to tell you, I don't see the faces if they're going that fast.
Yeah, you don't need to see the faces, because what we can do is we can, through the car itself, we can, if we have all our staff members and our residents with the cars and the license plates. I mean, we might not have everybody, but it will help. It will help.
Yeah, if I knew what I'm saying in a general, people just coming in, it could be a guest.
Yeah, yeah,
And I just
Yeah.
think that,
yeah.
I mean, I'm in favor of really being serious about having a few
Yeah.
speed bumps.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's two issues. One, can we add more speed bumps to really slow down the traffic? We'll evaluate that. Two is if you do see somebody on speed on our campus, please let the receptionist know, and then we can take a look at the film and see if it's a guest or because it's amazing how you can follow people where they
I won't
park.
yell at them.
Okay. Well, we don't want you to get hurt, Mrs. Greenbaum.
I won't beat them to
There's a lot
death
of
like I'd
there,
like
yeah.
to.
Oh, yes.
This is a topic that has passed so long ago that I'm not sure exactly what I'm addressing here. But the group on hearing that includes the two chairs of communications and technology and the president and vice president of the council, please also include the chair of the health and safety committee.
Yes, I will.
Because we want to address hearing as a health issue.
Yes. Yeah, we got it. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Wow, Jeff, you thought it was going to be a quick meeting. I think between Mark, Maria, and myself, we picked up the slack. Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay. Oh,
You open to more questions, sir?
sure, absolutely.
My wife and I moved into Whitney Center about 5 years ago. We had evaluated other places and found that Whitney Center would be the best place to come. So we moved into a Birch apartment. Unfortunately, after a while, she got cancer, and it wasn't detected in time to do anything about it, and she died about 3 years ago. So I have this large apartment, much more than I need, and I'm kind of worried about my money running out before I die. Whitney Center is a great place. A lot of good people here. The staff treats us very well, but Whitney Center is very expensive. And we got 5% increases in rent the last couple of years. So I'm trying to think, okay, I could maybe move to a smaller apartment. So I go to sales and marketing, and I'm told, no, you can't do that. Why can't I move to a smaller apartment? You could sell mine again and get another buy-in. Oh, no, we make it too expensive. You can't do that. So I thought, so I went to Sean and I said, you know, I've seen some people move to smaller apartments. And he says, well, yeah, if there's a waiting list, we can look at that. But there's no waiting list. Okay, so a couple of weeks later, I'm playing tennis, and one of the guys says, oh, I'm going to move into Whitney Center soon. I've been on a waiting list for 6 months, and it's finally cleared, and I can move in. So, okay, so it appears that sales and marketing department says things that aren't true. But I guess we kind of expect that as salespeople. And then it also looks like they don't care about making money, because they could have another buy-in, and they don't seem to be interested. So I feel stuck. I feel like I don't have any choices except maybe to move out.
Well, I think we need a separate meeting with you on this particular issue. I will tell you, I do know people that have moved apartments and have downsized. So I think we need to address that. But clearly, we need to follow up with you, and it can be a combination of myself, Jeff, Sean. We'll follow up with you on your particular issue.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend and 4th of July. And that's going. The dining report is going to the resident council for discussion. And they'll bring it to administration. That's how that's being handled.
Hold on.
The dining committee is a component of resident council. The resolution needs to go to the resident council for discussion, and they'll bring it to administration. That's how that's being handled. Thank you.
I just have two things I want to say. One is, after listening to this meeting today, I really think we should commend the staff because they do listen and make changes, and we have evidence of that today. So that is a really good thing. And the second thing is, the treasure show is coming up. So please, the deadline is tomorrow, and anybody who has a treasure, please let me know, or fill out that application, email me. We need treasures. I know you have them.
Thank you. And Evelyn, I want to thank you for that comment because the staff do listen. Sometimes change takes some time because we want to make sure that we get good input. And so we get that. There will be some things that we move quickly on. If we feel it's a safety issue concern, we'll jump on those things. But other than that, we're going to take our time appropriately and get input. But you did see that we move on things. So thank you for acknowledging that. And thank you for acknowledging the staff. They are working really hard. And they want to please. They want to do the best for this community. So thank you. Okay, we'll end on that note. Thank you, everybody.